And so, without further ado, we have our first team. Jesse?
It's safe to say that everybody hates microplastics, am I right? Yeah, they suck. But this team has gone above and beyond to fight back against the scourge of our environment. Plastic-covered creatures fighting for terra firma face off against adventurous arthropods of small but, mighty stature. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Professor Jen Vincent and the team responsible for polyvinyl pests.
All right. How is everybody feeling tonight? So I have to say, I've been at the college almost 20 years, and this is the first time I've actually made it onto the stage, and it only took these guys 4 years. So I feel like they're pretty great. You've done something right, guys. So let's talk about that green slime. I'm really nervous about what I am going to see in this game trailer. We've got character-eating microplastics in this futuristic world, and yet you've made it fun and pleasing to look at. So tell us about where this idea came from. I'm always amazed at the breadth of games that come out of the studio.
Absolutely. PvP started with a kind of sci-fi premise, like hundreds of years in the future, we've covered the world in plastic, and then decomposers like snails and mushrooms have learned to use these plastics as a part of their anatomy. And we just wanted to try and take those like kind of scary ideas like trash and bugs and make them cutesy, make them fun. It was actually based on some real science we all were researching about, like, there are these mushrooms that were discovered that can actually break down and decompose what we thought were forever plastics and things like that. So we really wanted to try and chase this idea to make something that felt as unique and wonderful that this is.
So in order to be that, it would have to take some really creative minds. Can you talk a little bit about the team's creative process?
Yeah, PvP has been such a collaborative process. Everybody on the team is so enthusiastic about our world, about our game, from our designers who are working on these boss fights and these characters, finding the synthesis between how can this creature attack that both shows its character and is also just an interesting gameplay mechanic? Keep players engaged, find the fun, and keep chasing it. We also have our wonderful artists, Lucas and Jasmine, who Lucas focusing on character design, designed our laundry snail and our waxworm. But we also got Jasmine able to shine with our boss, the bottle mushrooms, which are even more of an environmental boss, and using these characters, using these, again, mending cutesy and scary together into things that are just so memorable and so fun.
Awesome. Autumn, can you tell us about the collaboration that the programmers and folks used to actually implement those characters into the game?
Yeah, absolutely. So jumping off of the creative processes Trace was talking about, our programmers would then come in and start to implement the AI needed for the bosses to actually live within the game space. A big thing for us was that we wanted these bosses to feel alive and fluid and dynamic, but we didn't want to overload them with too many systems that made it difficult to create new ones or edit current ones. Our generalist programmer, Jeffrey Popak, next to me here, and our systems programmer, Thomas Smith, also next to me here, worked hard last semester to set up modular systems that would allow us to keep making new content, while also editing our existing content in ways that were efficient and made it so that people never had to start from zero.
Awesome. So speaking of new content, a lot of people follow these games from Greenlight until now, but most haven't seen the game since Greenlight. So can you tell us a little bit about how you've onboarded and doubled the size of your team, and what new elements we should be looking for in the game?
Yeah, onboarding was a very big process for us, not just in the sense of almost doubling our team size, but also in that we wanted new team members to have creative outlets within this ongoing project where they could express themselves and feel like this project is more than just a school project with their name on it, as it's become very personal for even the people that are on the team before Greenlight. This ties really well into our upgrade system, which we've introduced since then, where players have randomized upgrades presented to them. In order to have them randomized, we had to create a bit of a pool for the game to select from. And this was a really great space for new team members to dump creative ideas that they had, to kind of throw spaghetti at the wall, and end up finding unique ways to express themselves in this project, of being able to have this very tangible piece of art within the game.
Very nice. So speaking of the art in the game and all the different battles that are taking place, we've got 3 levels, 3 really unique bosses, all have different mechanics. You've got a championship round, so why a 2-player game on top of all that neat balance?
Totally. The idea for PvP to be a 2-player game started pretty early on. We just kind of liked the idea of a co-op game. But pretty early on, we found that a lot of team members have a very competitive mindset and really liked the idea of having players work together sometimes and work against each other sometimes. Jumping off of that, we very quickly realized that we could just have that be 2 separate modes within the game. Sometimes they're with each other and sometimes they're against each other. A big part of that was that we wanted that to be a very substantial tonal shift. That's both in the gameplay and feels very meaningful and fresh, and also in things like the art and music. With the game's 2 composers and 2 very different music styles, that was a great place to have different styles of music present at once. It was really great taking the game to testing and seeing testers playing the game for the first time. What would often happen is they would sit down, they would start playing, fighting a boss together, and they would see this as, I'm just sitting next to this person who's helping me hit a target. But when they'd fight each other for the first time, it was this huge surprise. It was so fun, and we really loved that social aspect of the game, of getting to see players suddenly be like, oh, I'm fighting this person who's sitting right next to me. And it was always fun to see those reactions.
Yeah, and I watched you play this game a lot. Of all the teams, I've never seen anyone test their game more. And it's because you all loved to play, which is a really good sign for any project. So you actually took this 2-player game, and because you were so passionate about it, you decided to build an arcade cabinet on top of the game that we're watching now. Trace, do you want to tell us about that?
Absolutely. We knew from the outset, once we started developing this idea, of course, it's an arcade-style game. You've got all these different upgrades. You've got the 2-player, I'm fighting against you, fighting with you, fun stylings of that. And as the semester went on and time went on, we started to realize just how feasible that would be, especially because of the complete passion on every single person in this team. We all wanted to show people just how much we love our game. We show them just how fun it is and invite them into play in the way that would be the most engaging. Not only that, we're actually looking at a bunch of other ways to help show this game to as many people as we can. We have our soundtrack with its heavy metal rock music for the boss fights by Nick, that's as well as the fun arcade-style PvP sounds by Braden that are both going to be published later this year, pretty soon. And we're all actually so enthusiastic about this game. We've already been talking about, even just past graduation, ways that we can keep adding to it, things that we can keep doing with it. So keep your eye out on your Steam wish lists and on your downloads of PvP, because you might be seeing more of it in the future.
So like any good game designer, your game is never done. So if people wanted to see this arcade cabinet, where could they find it? Where is it going to live?
It's going to live right here at Champlain College. We're grateful enough to we're lucky enough to have gotten a grant from SGA to build this arcade cabinet. Of course, it's going to stay with the student body, stay as a way to hopefully pull in more prospective students and show them just how much fun of a program that this is. And you yourselves can all play it, and please do, against any of us, and we'll absolutely win every single time. Right down in the gallery downstairs.
I can attest to that. They've never allowed me to win. Not once. Well, I have to say, this is the first class that Jessie taught when she started at Champlain a few years ago, and so you are really the first ones. We were talking backstage about the actual metamorphosis and transformation of student as you progress from first year to senior, and it has been an absolute joy for all of us to watch that transformation. Autumn, we were all a little worried at the beginning because you were so quiet. And you're a perfect example of what we love to see, because you've just simply blossomed, and you're a producer like nobody's business. You're one of the best. So it has been my absolute pleasure and joy to hang out with you this semester and watch you iterate and grow and work on something you're all so incredibly passionate about. I think we're ready for those student reels.